Welcome, Rebels, one and all, to I Rebel on Rebel Scum Podcast. I just said the word rebel a lot.
All the way.
Which one are you? Are you Andrew or James?
Pork.
Porg. Do you think they're like Pokemon? Like they just say the word porg all the time?
Pork.
Porg, 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 porg.
No, I think it sounds similar to that, but I don't think they're saying pork. They're probably like, blah, 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 blah.
Either way, I'll have fun.
Okay, wait. Porg, Ewok, Jawa.
If I had to choose,
Yep.
Jawa.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Get out of my house. All right. What episodes are we looking at on this show?
We're looking at, please excuse the sirens. We may or may not have hidden something controversial in the
Well,
backyard.
the cops outside are huge fans of Rebels.
They are, and they wanted to show their support, as you do.
That's our opening theme song.
So we're in season 2 near the beginning. We're looking at the season 2, episode 4.
The beak of my hat just hit the mic. I'm sorry.
I'm going to move back. Season 2, episode 4 is Relics of the Old Republic, which picks off where the last episode, Lost Commanders, left off. This was the two-parter that was all about Captain Rex and the clones, and the rebels find them, and they don't get along, and they have to learn to trust the clones, and the clones are still awesome because the clones were great. And this episode, Relics of the Old Republic, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, is one of my favorite Rebels episodes of all time. It is. Mostly because of that battle at the end with the walkers. That was legitimately harrowing to watch that take place. So essentially, like, to recap from the last episode, they met with the clones on this sort of Mad Max kind of planet where the clones are they're in this modified Republic walker, and they're just kind of living life out in this desert.
I think you said Mad Max kind of planet when it's basically a Tatooine, Jakku type planet. I love it. Mad Max is what I'm going to associate with it. This is not all the other Star Wars planets we've seen that have been exactly like this.
This is a very Road Warrior kind of planet, whereas Jakku is more of a Fury Road, I think. But regardless,
wait, which is your favorite of the Mad Maxes?
Thunderdome. Fury Road and parts of Thunderdome.
It's Road Warrior is the best one. The first one is actually the best. Have you seen the first Mad Max?
I hate the first Mad Max.
It's not even like post-apocalyptic. No. It's just basically side Akbar. The opening of that movie is the bad guy saying lyrics to an AC/DC song.
Yeah.
It is the best. And Mel Gibson actually got his arm run over by a motorcycle in that movie.
Oh, that's right.
True story. But Road Warrior is the best one. Fury Road is next. Thunderdome. Tina Turner.
The parts in Thunderdome where he meets the children and they have like their own religion in that cave is hauntingly beautiful.
Yeah, but it's Hook and Logan is Thunderdome. When Logan turns into Hook at the end. Like Logan turns into Thunderdome, and Thunderdome is what Hook turned into.
Okay.
Thunderdome is the basis of all great films.
Yes.
But Road Warrior is the best because it's narrated by the kid who ends up being like,
yeah,
the Road Warrior, Max. That was the first DVD I ever bought.
Really?
Road Warrior, yeah.
First one I ever bought.
Second DVD I ever had. First one I ever bought.
Does it count if my mom bought it? Because I didn't really have disposable income back then. The first one we ever owned in our household was You've Got Mail.
Get out of my house. No, my English teacher gave me Clerks on DVD because I did a thesis on Brody versus Banky. It was kind of a joke class.
Can I read that thesis?
Like I could find it. This is before computers, dude. And literally he was like, do you like Kevin Smith? I'm like, yeah. Do you want my Clerks DVD? My wife or fiance, someone, he's like, she doesn't like it. And he just like brought it the next day or the next week and gave it to me. And I was like, now I need a DVD player.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't even have a DVD player when I got that. Or Road Warrior. Because Road Warrior was cheaper on DVD than VHS. This is a huge side part. We should get back to this.
So, Relics of the Old Republic, very post-apocalyptic, non-specific kind of.
It reminded me very much of a Mad Max.
So we meet the clones and they're living there, and for the most part they're happy. But then the rebels come to ask them for help, and by showing up, the rebels inadvertently lead to a series of events where the Empire finds them because Wolf, one of the clones, does not trust the rebels. He's still a little battle scarred, so he contacts Callus and he's like, "Hey, some rebels just showed up at my house. My house is also a walker. I live on this kind of Mad Max kind of planet. And Callus is like, frankly, I think it's more like Thunderdome, but we'll be there.
He does not sound like Ewan McGregor.
No, he doesn't. That's just my go-to British voice. But what we get is this great battle between this Callus's little group of Imperials and the rebels and the clones. And I love this so much. Ever since episode 2, the Attack of the Clones episode 2, ever since that came out, there has always been that little sort of schoolyard conversation about like, who do you think would win, stormtroopers or clone troopers? And we see that happen.
I was in college.
You were in college, but you were still saying it with that same cadence. We saw that fight happen in this episode. And the clone troopers, they clean up. They do well. There's a great line.
They have to because they're the characters on the show.
Yeah.
What if it was Rex versus Finn?
Oh shit! But to be fair, there's 3 clones here. One of them could have been dispensable, but none of them bite the dust. One of them could have been like, I took a shot to the.
But 2 of them vanished from the show. So
that's true. I don't know where they are. Gregor, that's the third one.
Gregor,
yeah. There it is. But there's this great line where Callus is like Skyping the clones, and he's like, "I'm coming to get you," and he makes this comment that says, I wrote it down here.
But it's Gregor that makes the call, right? It's not Rex.
It's Wolf.
Wolf.
Where they're kind of talking back and forth. The Callus is like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you guys," and Rex says, "I hope you plan on bringing more than just your stormtroopers." And Callus says, "They serve the Empire well, and I have a great many of them." And Rex just replies, "You'll need them." And I was like, mic drop. I can actually drop this mic. Hold on.
Do not.
What a cool send-off line just to be like, nope, and he hangs up. And then we get the Imperials coming down to the planet, shooting at them, and we get what is, in my opinion, like I said, what makes this episode so great is this fight between the clones in their old Republic walker that's falling apart and 3 AT-AT walkers. And it all takes place inside a sandstorm. A very Mad Max 1 type sandstorm.
There are no sandstorms in Mad Max. Isn't there grass in the first Mad Max? I think there's grass.
You're right.
Because it was made for like $13. Like I think George Miller had a paper route, and he took the money he made from that, and that's how they made the first Mad Max.
He filmed it on the street where he had his paper route.
And it wasn't even shot on film. It was shot on he sketched it. No, it was. I mean, that's a great story, and it's dubbed. Oh my god!
Oh,
the
Jesus,
dubbing.
Have you dubbed?
No, you can get now on DVD. It's not dubbed, but the dubbing is phenomenal because it's Mel Gibson doing Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
But the guy who plays the police chief, his voice in Australia is like, "I'm Max," like that. But his voice in the American one,
a soundbite of you doing that.
Well, you can. His voice in the American one is like, "Come on, Max, we'll go together," and you're like, "What happened?" Like his American voice is better, but it's dubbed like it's Australian. It's not that hard to understand what they're saying. Mel Gibson has the same voice in both. He doesn't really do anything differently. Anyway, Rebels. We need a Mad Max podcast. The Max Cast.
The Max Cast. So this sandstorm happens, and the 3 walkers are chasing after what is the Republic walker called? I can't remember and I think they're called MT-ATs, but I could be wrong.
There's so many different ones.
They chase them into this sandstorm, and what we get, this battle that takes place, is you got Kanan and Ezra and Sabine helping out these clones on this walker, trying to outsmart these 3 AT-ATs. And you see like these great shots where it's like they're looking out the window of their cockpit, and you can just see this AT-AT looming over them, and it can't see them, but it's looking for them. And there's the way they maneuver, the way they sort of like bait the AT-ATs into a position and then fire at them, and Ezra has to shoot at the neck of one of them using a cannon, but he can't aim with his eyes because there's a sandstorm. He literally can't open his eyes, so he's got to aim with the Force. And it's like the whole thing just gives me goosebumps from start to finish. And towards the end, when things are looking really desperate, we get a scene where the little clone walker basically is facing head on an AT-AT and almost like grabbing at its leg and looking up at it, and Rex is standing on top of his cockpit looking into the AT-AT cockpit and saying like, come on, shoot me. And like he's ready to die. And that's when like Kanan, who had left at that point, turns around and is like, fine, I'll save these clones because I don't want them to die. And he saves them. And that moment is just, it's so powerful. It's such a good testament to how great a soldier Rex is. He stares down an AT-AT. Even Baze Malbus and Chirrut Imwe, God bless them, they were great guys, but when they saw an AT-AT, they ran. They ran like the wind. Rex was like, come on, shoot me. So that gave me the feels the entire time. And I noticed, I don't know if it was just me seeing what I wanted to see, but during that fight, the way the walkers move, it looks like they tried a little bit to emulate the stop motion look from Empire. I could be wrong, but it looks like that is what is happening. Like it's got like this jagged way of moving, this very alien, unnatural way of moving, whereas the Clones Walker looks like smooth because in the movie that was CG. So
yeah, I think you're right on.
I hope that's what they did, because that'd be a great little thing.
It would make sense, and I think they would follow that continuity. So yeah, I totally see that.
Plus, they're on sand, which is like even more unstable than snow. So
I don't know anything about snow. I've never seen it in my life.
No,
it's snowing right now. This is the week before Labor Day, I think, and it sucks outside. It was a nice morning.
It looks like the beginning of Wizard of Oz outside.
This is the
Kansas parts.
This is brutal. The Wicked Witch is gonna come by.
Then the end.
Thunderdome.
Thunderdome. Yeah, she prefers Thunderdome. The end of the episode made me cry a little bit when we got the reunion between Rex and Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And they look at each other and they're just like, "You got old," and then they hug. I was just like, "Oh man."
This was great because there was that backlash of the Clone Wars being canned. And it was like, I can't believe you would cancel the Clone Wars, blah, 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 blah. And then Disney's like, well, we're going to do our own because this is now our property. Mm-hmm. We want to do what we want to do with it. And you have to respect that, because if you own something, you're going to do what you want. But they kept the team around. They kept them around. They're like, tell the story. And now the team is like, okay, let's give them let's say this is how it all turns out. This is the Clone Wars is what happened. Now, the Clone Wars is the original trilogy to the Rebels' new trilogy.
Right.
Sequel trilogy. Right? This is 19 years later, or 20 years later, whatever it is. This is what happened to these people. These the characters that you watched for all those years in the Clone Wars. Now this is how they all turned out. You don't need a finale to the Clone Wars because this is what it is.
Right. It literally, like you're saying, you don't need it because we'll get that finale at the end of Rebels.
Yeah.
Because so much has carried over.
Which is smart.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, just seeing those two meet up again, like I think I asked this question a couple episodes ago, and we couldn't really figure out if there was a solid answer, but I don't think I've seen that ever happen in a cartoon where there was a sequel cartoon and a lot of the stuff carried over. Like the only thing that comes to mind is She-Ra, but that's more of a spin-off. And there was never like an emotional moment where She-Ra's like, Adam, you got old, and they like that never happened.
Because Adam doesn't get old. He's He-Man.
He stays with his perfect Prince Valiant haircut.
I have the power.
Was that a good Adam?
It was great.
Say, James, would you like to learn a lesson about Eternia today?
I can't believe you were too old. You're too young for He-Man.
I'm too young for He-Man, yeah. But I love Reagan's America, so anything from that era I will research. And
so weird. I grew up with He-Man. I had that. I was He-Man for Halloween. Oh, you got to see those pictures.
Now, was that like a bodysuit, or did you literally just wear a loincloth?
My mom made it. It was, you got to see it. It's pretty awesome. And also, I had a He-Man kite on my door, and the kite was like the size of my door. And I had it on my door for years. I think I only used it like once because it's a kite. But it was it was bigger than me when I first got it. My mom made me a Castle Grayskull cake for one of my birthdays. He-Man was my ultimate favorite. And yeah, it was He-Man I had the Castle Grayskull toy. I always stepped on my He-Man action figures, so I always broke He-Man. So I had like probably 5 or 6 He-Man, but they all broke. Like I broke them all. I still have Man at Arms. I have a few of them still in like a closet somewhere.
Oh, I want to play with them.
They don't have. Yeah, they're. I have so much. I don't have Castle Grayskull anymore. That was long gone. But yeah, like I was so spoiled as a child. Like I had all the Star Wars toys. By the way, I have to send you some stuff. I had all the Star Wars toys. I had all the He-Man toys. Anyway, Rebels. This is like the word we're like go Mad Max and He-Man.
So let's move on to episode 5.
How did you get into He-Man?
Because I was like, I couldn't think of an example of a cartoon that had a sequel cartoon.
No, I mean in general. Because He-Man would have been off the air by the time you were born.
Oh, how did I get? Oh, my first exposure to it was our family doctor. He had, like how doctors' waiting rooms, they'll have like a little toy area. And he had this big plastic strawberry full of random toys. But he had these really thin hardcover picture book adaptations of episodes of He-Man.
Yeah,
so I would read those. You had those? Yeah. That was my first exposure. I'm like, oh, cool.
I saw a He-Man play at Canada's Wonderland.
Oh my god!
He got slimed. He got slimed by it was pretty awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, you were born at the wrong time.
I know, right? I wish I was born in 1980. I always
81, my friend.
When reincarnation happens, I'll be like, can I just go back? So episode 5 of season 2 has a great title. I love it. It's called "Always Two There Are." Mm-hmm. This is I love when that happens, when you got like little tongue-in-cheek references as a title. So obviously it's called "Always Two There Are." We meet our 2 new Inquisitors, the 5th brother and the 7th sister. I found it interesting. This is episode 5 of season 2, and we're meeting them. And
well, it's really because Siege of Lothal was cut into 2, but it's really 1 episode, so it's really the 4th episode they're coming in. And plus, you had the Clones one, which was 1 giant episode also. So this is really only the 3rd episode. Do you know what I mean? Like
you just ruined my theory.
Anyway, go on. No, go on. I think actually go on.
Because in episode 5 of season 1 is the first time that the rebels encounter the Grand Inquisitor.
Well, that could be exactly their mindset on it.
Illuminati confirmed.
Because even though it is only the 4th episode, it is the 5th episode.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, it is. I mean, if they're cutting it up into episodes, it is the 5th episode. So that's actually kind of cool. Dave Filoni, what do you think?
Yeah. Send us a wire. Composer, I always...
Dear Andrew, stop.
That's all. It just says stop. I always flub the composer's last name. Is it Kevin Kiner or Kevin Kilner?
Kenner.
Kenner? Is there an L? I don't know.
He makes toys.
Kevin some. He did a great job with the 7 Sisters theme music. It is scary as shit. It is. I can't remember how it goes, but it's sort of like remember Maul's theme music? Not Duel of the Fates, but like when he's on Tatooine and there's that kind of like that kind of thing. Imagine that, but with like a more like a feminine voice saying it, and kind of like almost like a spidery kind of violin thing. It sounds great.
It's like the Gremlins theme song.
Or the Mad Max theme. No, we're not going to get into that again. There's a good background detail in this episode that I liked. Kanan and Rex are playing chess, and Hera is watching them. And as they're playing chess, like Rex makes some sort of statement to Kanan, like, "Oh, this is why I'm winning, because I'm a better soldier than you." And Kanan's getting pissed off about it, and Hera is just in the background. She's not saying anything. The animators could have easily just had her like sitting, like looking. But when this statement is made, you can see Hera trying not to laugh, which is great. It's such a subtle thing for a cartoon to do. I love it. She's just like pulling one of those. I love the animators on the show. They're so good with that. Now, my big takeaway from Always Two There Are, and I don't think this is something that was answered yet, is the names of the Inquisitors: 5th brother, 7th sister. This stands to reason that there are more Inquisitors out there. There is a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th brother. There are at least 6 other sisters. Will we ever see any more?
No, I think they're done. I think this is when they end, and the end of the season. I think that is the end of the Inquisitors.
I agree. I think it's the end of the Inquisitors in the show, but I think they would make great comic material I mean,
yeah.
let's say you have a comic.
But I think at that time they're done because they can't. Because Filoni also said they can't be around when A New Hope happens. They have to
Exactly.
be gone. So I think when they say bye, all Inquisitors
Exactly.
are gone. But yeah, you're right. You could go back and make Starkiller an Inquisitor.
And I think that I think that the perfect place to put them, video game.
Oh yes,
You have video games, set during this time period.
no question.
There's your bosses for the game right there. You have 3 brothers and 3
Oh, I want to be an Inquisitor.
Or you can be, be one if you want.
I want to take out Jedi left and right.
But like, if your character is a random guy who has the Force and finds his way with a lightsaber, there you go. There's your enemies. There's a lightsaber wielding group of enemies for you to make.
And they can have the craziest lightsabers you can imagine.
Oh, absolutely. So I think that was smart of them to sort of, introduce these Inquisitors as just part of a larger set, but we're only getting these 2 in the show. So I'm happy that, like you're saying, I'm happy that it's, as far as Rebels is concerned, this is where we stop, but they have left the door open, which was so smart. And then the episode ends in a very frightening way, where, they find out, there's more Inquisitors, because it's Ezra, Zeb, and Chopper. No, sorry, Ezra, Zeb, and Sabine and Chopper who meet the Inquisitors. They go to this sort of blacked out station from like the Clone Wars era, and they're looking around in there, and that's when the Inquisitors come in. So the episode ends with them, just escaping with the skin of their teeth and going back to the Ghost. And Ezra tells Kanan, we have a problem. There's 2 more Inquisitors. And the episode ends with Kanan and Hera sitting together by themselves, and Hera's like, what do we do? What's the deal with these guys? And he's like, I don't know. And they're just like holding each other and like huddled in fear. And it's like, there, the end. Boom, Rebels. Like I said, man, this season is dark. This is no longer Disney XD. This is like Disney triple XD. We are getting to the dark stuff.
And actually, season 3, they changed the time slot for Rebels, I think, from like Saturday afternoon, I could be wrong, to Saturday night at 8. Like, they changed the time. They're like, as the show goes, it does get darker. But that is a great ending because, even, they knew the Grand Inquisitor, but now you have 2 of them. And so my takeaway is that they are the 5th and, what they are, but they are not the Grand Inquisitor. The Grand Inquisitor was the Grand Master Inquisitor. Right? He was the best of the best. Now you have 2 that aren't as good, but you have 2 of them coming after you. So 2 of them that are even half as good. That's half. That's the Grand Inquisitor cut in half coming at you from both sides.
Exactly.
So that's kind of, it would be fearful for them, and makes a great adversary on the show, and they come back, and it makes you want to see the next episode.
And they're fun because they have, that dynamic where they're in competition even though they're on the same side. And
she's got that great little droid
Yeah.
that's so haunting.
Yeah.
That is, when they showed the promotional stuff for that, I was like, I'm excited to see that. And he was a rejected look of Kylo Ren, I believe.
I think you're right. Yeah, he's got that very big samurai-looking helmet.
Yeah, I think he was a rejected Kylo Ren sketch. So they're pretty sweet. And Black Series, yes or no?
For them?
Or would you get it?
You know what? I don't know. I think I would get the Grand Inquisitor, but for they're very basic looking, which I think is smart on the design team's part. Like, don't waste like a standout design on these 2, let's face it, dispensable villains who are going to be here for 3/4 of a season and then gone. So if you're gonna make Black Series of Rebels, don't focus on them. Give me like Callus, give me Chopper, give me just people we don't have yet who are more mainstays. Give me Zeb. We don't need them. Would you?
No.
I
don't really get them anyway.
Yeah, true. And then we have one more episode right now, and that is episode 6, Brothers of the Broken Horn.
So the names are getting better from season 1.
Much better from this.
Season 1, this would have been called, I don't know, Broken Arm?
Yeah. Season 1, this would have been called Ezra is Brave.
Yeah. Ezra's bravery, Hera's piloting skills.
Now, on-screen counter, here we go. We now have 5 new planets introduced on the show.
Does this count if I just do this?
It just counts if you do this. because we got 2 other new planets. If you've been keeping track, we're keeping track of how many new planets Rebels introduces into canon. We had 3, and now thanks to this, we have 5. We have 2 planets called Riku and Burrell. Burrell is important because that's where the Rebels set up their base after leaving Lothal. So Burrell is their new base of operations. This is the first time we see it.
Do you like that they keep bouncing around planets?
Yes, because that's sort of in their nature. They have to.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want a new planet every episode because I will feel that that's just kind of like, okay, so, you know.
Here's a question for you, because everyone's like, "Oh, you're shrinking the universe when you do this, like when everything's connected and blah." But at what point is the universe too big, or the galaxy, I should say? Like at what point do you go, "Man, there's way too much going on in this galaxy"? Because it has to be huge, but it has to be like small enough where an Emperor Palps can oversee. You know what I mean? Like it can't just be. If there are 300,000 billion planets in their galaxy, that's way too much. You know what I mean? Like at what point do we draw the line? Like this is making it too small and this is making it too big. You need to find this happy medium. And I think they're in that happy medium now. I'm just saying, at what point do you stop and say, okay, you know what? Every book has more planets in it, and like why are there so many planets? Like they're unnecessary.
That is a good point. I mean, you're right. I think they're in the happy medium now. And there does exist a lot of, supplemental material, a lot of maps of the galaxy. But I wonder if there's somebody, whether it's Hidalgo or somebody in the story group who sort of picked a number and said, okay, in the outer rim, there are only this many planets. So once we get to that point, we're not going to exceed it. Like, I wonder if that is the thing that is up just.
Well, you have the map of the galaxy, right?
Yes.
There are planets there, obviously. But at what point, like, if they keep making up planets, that book is obsolete. Like, in a week, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's not, like, you have to, like, are there planets on there? I don't know if you looked at that thoroughly, but are there planets there? You're like, I don't know what that is. Like, and then maybe you'll be like, oh, that's that planet that I didn't know what it was.
And I have the super old, like, black and white mid-90s essential guide to planets, and there's a lot in there just because I didn't read old EU stuff. So it's like the Hapes Consortium and this other weird planet that starts with a Z, and I'm just like, what is happening now? Because I'm more plugged in, I think I'm finding less things where I'm like, what is this? But I mean, I always like to try to keep track of as many planets as possible in my head. And I think the hardest part to do that with is the novels. Because the novels, you would just get a name and that's it. You can't really see the planet. You don't know what it's all about. I mean, I remember that the planet from Aftermath is called Akiva. And I remember the planet from A New Dawn is called Gorse. But I couldn't really tell you much about it.
Jalucan from Lost Stars.
See, I forgot about Jalucan. So if I have been flipping through a planet book and I'd seen Jalucan, I wouldn't know off the top of my head what that was. So you're right. I think that there should be a limit, but I don't think they've exceeded it yet. But I think they do need to be careful. I think that there's going to come a time, maybe once episode 9 is done and we have that much supplemental material, that at that point, when it comes time to write a story and they're like, okay, we need a planet for this setting, instead of coming up with something, I think at that point in time, they're going to start saying, okay, look through our database and see if there's one that fits.
Yeah, and it can be one that they haven't really explored. It's like, this is blah, blah planet, and it's just mentioned in a book. And if nothing is known about it other than it's mentioned on that book, you can do whatever you want with that planet and just be like, just make it that planet. Because
absolutely.
If there are too many planets, where are they all?
There are 5 movies with Tatooine in them, but we have seen 2 towns on Tatooine.
Well, yeah, but that's all there is on Tatooine.
As far as we know.
No.
There used to be an ocean.
There's an outskirts. They were on the outskirts in Phantom Menace also.
Storm's coming up.
Looks pretty bad. Okay. How awesome are those pictures of Rey on Jakku when Jakku was an underwater planet?
Oh, my God.
Right?
Fantastic. It's like a junkyard. If you don't own the Art of Force Awakens book, first of all, own the Art of Force Awakens book. But if you don't own it, there's a concept art of Jakku, and one of them is the initial plan was it's still a junkyard, but it's laid out like Venice. It's all water, and to get from one junk pile to the next, she's gotta like take a gondola pretty much. That looks
it would have been
friggin'
sweet.
Cool. I still think we're gonna see something like that eventually because Lucasfilm isn't one to waste a good idea. So we'll see it.
It'll probably be in season 4 of Rebels.
Maybe. Personally, I hope we get it. I hope we get some cool new planets in 9 because 8 feels like it's going to be so story based that like the concept of pushing new exciting planets is kind of on the back burner for that movie.
Well, we're getting Crate and Canto Bight.
Is Canto Bight a planet though? I always felt like it was just like a satellite.
Well,
Like a Cloud City, but like not on a Bespin, just like floating.
Yeah, but you would call Cloud City like if we were just watching Empire Strikes Back right now, if we're having this conversation, Cloud City would be like a new planet in terms of what we're talking about. It doesn't matter if it's technically not a planet. It is it's a new place.
Yeah, a new place. I can give it.
Well,
that.
God, a new place.
Yeah. But I think that considering where 9 is, that's where I think they can push a little more creativity in the planets because 9 is the one that we expect to just be like conclusion to everything, wrapping up, final fight. So throw in the new visual stuff to make it, put a backdrop to all of that. That's nice to look at. But anyways, Brothers of the Broken Horn. We got 2 new planets. We got to see them, and we got to see an old friend from Clone Wars again. Mister, I'm going to try to do it.
Colonel
I wish. We got to see Hondo Onaka. No, I can't do it very well. I'm no Jim Cummings. I'm sorry.
You're no Darkwing Duck.
No. As far as I'm concerned, Hondo Onaka is now a classic Star Wars character in my mind. He's been around long enough. He's been in so many episodes of both shows now. Could we see him in Han Solo? No. He is a smuggler. It is a good time period. No? Just background in a cantina.
No.
No?
I mean, yeah, anything's possible, but I'm going to say no. I'm going to say Ron Howard has no idea what that is. Like, Ron Howard's like, what? What?
We also got another comeback in this episode from Rebels, though. Another making something not filler.
Colonel
Meeber Gaskin. No, not yet. We got Asmorgan, who is the crime lord that Lando Calrissian was dealing with. And Asmorgan is now making a deal with Hondo because Asmorgan clearly does not make deals with.
Not my favorite character.
No, not at all. He's just a.
He is from Tailspin.
He
feels like a Tailspin.
He totally is. But it fits.
By the way, I love Tailspin. But it's a different show from Rebels.
It fits though that he shows up because in season 1, when we see him at first, he mentions that he has dealings with Vizago, the horned guy on Lothal, and we meet Hondo because Hondo has taken over Vizago's ship, and that's why he's meeting with Asmorgan because not only did he take Vizago's ship, he took Vizago's deal. He hijacked his deal, for lack of a better word. At first, I don't know if you agree with me, but at first I thought Hondo was a little bit, when I saw him in Clone Wars at first, I thought he was a little bit too cartoony. He was a little bit too, like you're saying, tailspinny, Disney afternoony, especially because it's Jim Cummings' voice, and that's kind of an iconic voice. But I've warmed up to him. I don't know. How do you feel about him?
Yeah, I think because it is the voice, because you recognize Jim Cummings' voice.
He's such a great voice actor. He's so versatile, but at the same time, he's so recognizable. Like there's never a point where you're like, I didn't know that was Jim Cummings.
Yeah, there's always like a little thing in the back of the voice where you're like, that's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was almost like he always feels like it doesn't quite fit in, but then you have to get used to it. It's a voice you have to get used to in there, and then once you kind of accept it in there, you can live with it, and then this character completely works and fits, and you're like, okay, let's get more. There are times though when. And why I don't know if he would be in Han Solo, if it would make sense, is because he's almost too much of a cartoon character in a lot of ways where he would do things, and you're like, but it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost too much. You're like, you're going too far with that right now.
Yeah.
Rein it in just a little bit. But at the same time, I say it every week, it's a children's show on Disney XD. As dark as it wants to get, this is where it's living still. And so he's right up there, and like I see kids being like, "That's so fun," It's at that level. It's below our level, not really, because nothing's below my level. But like it's at that level where kids are like, "I'll have fun with that. I want that action figure, though I've never seen one." So whereas we're like, it's a little too cartoony.
Yeah, I think that if they were to stick him in a Han Solo, it would literally just be in a background, maybe with his feet up on a table in a bar with like a Salacious Crumb guy on his shoulder, and like that's it.
Han Solo, Han buddy. That's not him at all. Han buddy. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Like he just gets ignored.
Yeah. And then we're like, and then people that don't know who he is are like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter at all.
It's like a little joke that they have a laugh, and then.
What's the makeup like for that? Like I can't picture what he would look like in live action.
We've seen his species in live action. They worked for Jabba, so we can. It's doable.
Yeah, but I mean, like as I can't picture full operational.
As long as the mouth moves. If he's just
That's the thing.
He's just sitting, as long as the mouth can move.
It's got to move. Ron Howard doesn't know what Hondo is.
No. He thinks he's making a sequel to Valerian.
Ron Howard right now is like, is there a whale in this movie?
But yeah, I had to warm up to Vizago, and I have. I think throughout Clone Wars, he kind of made himself this really interesting kind of guy who you just never knew what side of the coin he was going to fall on. He had a wonderful line in this episode where he says, "Oh, the stories I could tell, so many of them true." That sums him up right there. So he befriends Ezra. This whole episode is pretty much just Ezra. Ezra is, again, what a great time to introduce Hondo, because Ezra is going through some things where he's frustrated. He's tired of hearing Kanan bicker with Rex. Rex wants Ezra to be more of a soldier. Kanan wants him to be more of a Jedi, and he's tired of having all that responsibility thrown on him. So he kind of runs off, does his own thing for a bit, and he meets Hondo. And Hondo's like, "Come join me, be a pirate like me." And Ezra's like, "You know what? That doesn't sound like the worst idea in the world right now, because I'm getting shot at anyway by stormtroopers. I might as well make some profit off it while I'm at it and feed myself." And it's kind of a growing step for Ezra Bridger. It's something that he needs to get through to move on to where he is in present day. And Hondo was just the perfect vehicle to do that. So again, it's like they're not even wasting the relevance of their cameos. It's like I said about what they hopefully will do with planets later down the line. It's like, okay, we need a character to bring Ezra back from, to make Ezra see that what he's doing for the rebellion is more important than what he would do for himself. We need a character who's greedy, but possibly likable, that Ezra could almost want to befriend and then have to step away. Let's make somebody up, and then they'd be like, "No, wait a minute, we've got Hondo already. We've here we use him." So I'm hoping that's what
they did with Saw Gerrera in Rogue One.
Exactly.
Like, we need this kind of character, and like we have one.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. And that's the thing, is that they're not, as you said, they're cameos, but they're not cameos. They're just characters on the show that are serving a purpose.
Exactly. And who knows? Hopefully in Han Solo, somebody had the same train of thought. Like, hey, we need a bounty hunter, but we don't want to use Boba Fett right now, so let's make one up. No, we have Cad Bane. There you go. People like him. Use him. There he is. So I love that they're doing that. And like we said about the planets, maybe they'll get to a point where they do that. Hey, I want a planet for Rey to visit in episode 10, and it's got water on it and stuff. So I'm just going to draw this thing. Wait a minute. Here's Akbar's planet. We haven't seen it yet. Go. So now they have ammunition, and they can start loading their guns with ammunition. But that is I Rebel.
What?
That is I Rebel for today. We talked about 3 pretty cool episodes. Relics of the Old Republic, like I said, one of my favorites. And we're getting into the thick of Season 2. Season 2 is coming alive.
I'm a huge fan of Rebels.
And the Star Wars is pretty cool, too.
Yeah.
Stay tuned next week for more Mad Max talk. And if you didn't like the Mad Max talk, then we're sorry. A little bit. But seriously, Mad Max 1 isn't that great. What? It's not. It's just people on a road.
His wife and child get killed.
His wife and child.
That's what makes him mad.
Okay, there's a man in the forest with like mental problems who just grabs her for no reason other than to have a jump scare.
But there's a gang. There's a motorcycle gang that's coming in on town. And we're going to bring back their heroes.
And they do that thing where when somebody's about to die, there's like a cartoony shot of them with their eyes bulging.
Yeah, but that was before that was a thing.
Was it really? Like, did he start? If George Miller started that, then I take
That's
that
like
back.
70, 77, 78? That did not happen before that.
Maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Regardless, I love George Miller. He did a great job in Bring On Mad Max.
Babe is fantastic.
That'll do. That'll do, scumbags. That'll do.
Is that the end of the show?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.